What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. Today we are checking out the latest phone from Bluboo, and this one right here, it's called the S3. You can find this phone for about $150, and for that price the phone offers pretty good value. So first of all, you get a 6-inch screen. This screen has an 18:9 screen ratio, and we also get a 1080p resolution. We have a 8500 mAh battery, and the phone also has NFC, and that's not something that we usually see for phones this cheap. Aside from that, the phone is using the MediaTek 6750T. This is an octa-core CPU, but this is not the fastest CPU out there, and that CPU is also paired with 4 gigs of RAM and of course 64 gigs of internal storage. As we've seen in the past, out of that 64 gigs of internal storage, the phone is using about 10 gigs for the operating system, so you only have about 54 gigs left, but the phone can also take an SD card and you can use that SD card as internal storage. So the phone was supposed to ship with Android 8.1 right out of the box, but surprise, it comes with Android 7. So I reached out to the company and asked what's going on, and supposedly they're having some trouble with the software optimization on Android 8, and they're working on a fix, and the phone should get an update to Android 8.1 in a few weeks. I'm not sure what a few weeks means, but as of now we have Android 7 running on this device. Luckily Android 7 is very well optimized for it, therefore whenever you're moving in between screens, opening apps, and everything that you pretty much do with this phone works extremely smooth. I also went ahead and installed Nova Launcher, and now the phone looks even more like the Google Pixel, which is a good thing. I'm very sure that a lot of you are wondering if the NFC works. So yes, you can install Google Pay, you can add credit cards to Google Pay, and you can make purchases with the phone and they work great. You can also transfer files in between phones, and that one works great as well. And I'm very happy to see that we finally get NFC in phones that are under $150. And we are moving on to another important aspect for this phone. So as I mentioned earlier, inside this phone we have an 8500 mAh battery. On one charge you can go for a couple of days without charging the phone, and out of that between 9 and 14 hours of screen on time. Of course, it's gonna depend how you use the phone, if you game on the phone, if you're just browsing, or if you're just watching videos, but you can get in between 9 and 14 hours of screen on time. Since we have that massive battery inside it, the phone is kind of thick and also a bit heavy, so it weighs around 283 grams. But that may have to do with the fact that we have a metallic frame as well. So overall, not the lightest phone to keep in your pocket, and it will definitely take a few days till you get used to that extra weight. The 6-inch screen is an IPS panel that has a resolution of 1080p. We also get very vibrant colors and great viewing angles. The screen gets bright enough so you can see the phone outside, and not to mention that the bezels around the screen are actually smaller than the bezels that we get on the Google Pixel XL. So very good screen for a phone that's about $150. The screen sensitivity is average, not the best that I've seen, but you shouldn't have any trouble whenever you're typing or playing games, and the screen can also register up to 5 touches at the same time. As for the navigation buttons, well, they're sitting at the bottom of the screen, and they can also be hidden and moved around from the software. So if you want the back button on the other side, you can do it from the software. And moving just above the screen, there we have a 13 megapixel front-facing camera. We also have an LED notification light and a couple of sensors. The picture quality from that front-facing camera is great as long as you have plenty of light. So the pictures are very sharp and very detailed, but as soon as you don't have enough light, well, the pictures become very grainy and very blurry, which is kind of disappointing, but at least we can take good-looking selfies with plenty of light. On the right hand side of the phone we have the slot for the SIM card, and this device can take either 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card. We don't have anything at the top, and on the left hand side we have the power button and the volume keys, and the buttons are also made out of metal. At the bottom we have the microphone, we also have the USB-C port and the speaker. The speaker gets fairly loud and it has some bass to it as well, but here is a quick sample so you can hear for yourself how the speaker sounds. And moving back to that USB-C port for a quick second, so this USB-C port is a regular sized USB-C port, so you can use any USB-C cable. It supports OTG, and that means that you can plug in any USB stick and the phone can read what you have on that USB stick. And you can also charge other devices, so you can plug in another phone and you can charge another phone from this one. As for the charging time, well, if you use the charger that comes in the box, you can charge the entire phone from 0 to 100 in just under 3 hours, so about 2 hours and 55 minutes. Alright, and we are moving to the back of the phone. So the back of the phone is made out of plastic, and even though it has this interesting texture on it, it's still very slippery. So on the back there you're gonna find a 21 megapixel camera. We also have a 5 megapixel camera, dual tone flash, and of course the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is accurate every time, however it's not the fastest fingerprint scanner out there. So after you press the fingerprint scanner, it's gonna take you about a second for the screen to come on. But we've seen this multiple times for budget phones under $200. The second camera on the back of the phone doesn't seem to do anything, or it's fake, and if you're planning to take any of those pictures with the portrait mode, well, the pictures don't look that great, and that effect is software generated, so we get a circle in the middle and everything in that circle, it's clear, everything outside the circle, it's blurred out, so the pictures with the portrait mode don't look that great. As for the main 21 megapixel camera on the back of this phone, well, that one it's better, but once again, it's far from exceptional. So if you have plenty of light, the pictures kind of turn out okay. They are sharp enough and the colors seem to be somewhat accurate, but the camera is far from the best that I've seen from a budget phone. If you take pictures in low light, the pictures become kind of blurry, grainy and out of focus. So the cameras on the back of this phone are definitely not the best thing about this phone. And we're moving on to performance. So that MediaTek 6750T CPU used to be a mid-range CPU a couple of years ago when it was introduced. Well, these days it's kind of like a budget CPU, therefore you don't get the fastest CPU out there. So the scores that we get on the Antutu benchmark and the Geekbench 4 are pretty low. I mean, we get a score of about 5600 on the Antutu benchmark and about 2300 for the Geekbench 4. So definitely not the best scores out there. As I mentioned earlier, the software optimization is great, therefore the phone doesn't actually feel slow. So every time you scroll in between screens, you open apps and you switch in between apps, the phone feels speedy enough. And of course that has to do with the fact that we don't really have a heavy skin on top of that Android 7. It takes a couple of seconds to load apps, but once an app is loaded, scrolling up and down through the feed, it's done good enough, so decent enough without too much lag. Of course, the Facebook app it's a bit slow, but the Facebook app it's a bit slow for pretty much any phone out there. If you use apps like Instagram and Twitter, if you give the apps a couple of seconds to load the content, they do work okay afterwards. For Chrome, it's kind of the same. You just have to give the page a couple of seconds to load, and after that you can scroll up, scroll down without any lag. On the YouTube app, the maximum resolution you can select it's 1080p, and that's the maximum resolution of the screen, and all the videos that you're gonna watch at that resolution do work great. You can also zoom in so you can take full advantage of that 18:9 screen ratio. Gaming it's also possible, but like most phones using that MediaTek 6750T, you're gonna have to lower your expectations. So if you're gonna play PUBG, for example, you're gonna have to lower the graphics settings to minimum. So at the minimum settings you can play the game, you're not gonna have that much lag, but again the resolution isn't gonna be that great. The phone feels kind of hot whenever you're playing game as well, but that may have to do with the fact that you feel that heat through the metallic frame. So as long as you lower your expectations a bit about gaming, you can still play games on this phone. And we are moving to the GPS unit inside this phone. So it takes the phone a few seconds to find your location, and depending where you are, you may see the phone losing your location every now and then and having to search for it once again. So definitely not the best GPS unit I've seen on a budget phone in the past couple of years. As for sensors, so you have plenty of sensors available, including a gyroscope, so you could technically use this phone as a VR headset. Now keep in mind that if you're gonna use this phone as a VR headset, well, the phone is a bit heavy, so it may be a bit heavy to keep this phone in front of your eyes. Connectivity wise, the phone supports 4G connectivity, we get dual band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and of course NFC, but I already covered the NFC earlier in this video. So here in Canada I was able to use the phone on 2G, on 3G and on 4G, and that's great because a lot of phones from China don't actually support 3G bands here in Canada. And I believe that this is the same 3G band for the US as well. So definitely check the bands before buying this phone and make sure that they actually match your carrier. However, the phone does offer more bands than most Chinese phones that we get. As for the speeds over the 4G network and the dual band Wi-Fi, they're great and better than average. And it's time to conclude this video. So the Bluboo S3, it's not a perfect phone, but it's a step in the right direction for this company because some of their phones from the past weren't that great. So for about $150, you get a phone that has a great looking screen. We also get a great battery life and of course NFC. And this is probably the cheapest phone that you can get that has NFC, and this is also working NFC. If the cameras on the back would have been better, the whole phone would have been better, but I guess it is what it is. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.